Do you actually have to be on cocaine to be on this podcast?
It's a great day to be a Wildcat!
Cocaine.
Surfing.
Cocaine, really. Cocaine, really.
What's up, everybody? You're listening to yet another edition of Cocaine Willie. I am your commissioner, Bob Trollsby, and as always, I'm joined by my co-hosts, the good chef, Andre Napier, and Fireball Matt Marchesini, who is dressed to the nines today, wearing a Fireball costume, which I saw him wear last year, which was the most fitting thing I think I've ever seen. Boys, we're coming off a pretty big victory last week, 41-3 against the TCU Horned Frogs. How are we feeling riding that high of that victory? The 2 QB system, does it work? I mean, how are we feeling?
If you ask anybody in the industry, they would say no. Like, we still have to pick our quarterback and ride with them. I mean, I don't get it, but they looked sharp. Those boys were on one. They were on 10, really. It was nuts. I mean, I'm watching from afar. The energy seemed there. Hit him right in the mouth, and you just never let up. And I mean, we probably could have scored 60, or however maybe we really wanted to. Matt, you look like you disagree.
Well, I mean, maybe we could have scored 60. Okay, I'll give you that. But it was extremely impressive because I feel like the play calling, you could have seen either quarterback run each other's plays if they swapped drives. I felt. I thought the play calling was really good for both those guys, especially leveraging Will and some of that zone read game, which we've seen him do in his career. He's a really good runner in the zone read. We saw a couple of those plays, but then Avery looked good passing the ball. I mean, we saw the highlight with the pass in his first drive to Jace Brown. He has a really great touch with the ball. And so I will be a pessimist and say that this is not a sustainable model for us, but I do believe that it proves a really good point that game by game, you have the capability to go with the hot hand and win the football game. If it's Will Howard and he's looking really good running the football and throwing it, that's great. If he's in a position where he's struggling in a first couple drives, you can put Avery in there and leverage some of that speed and agility, and maybe he's going to be the hot hand for that game. I think this is going to be huge because I will absolutely say if Avery Johnson's running the football like he is every game, there were some hits in that TCU game where I was like, oh, not great.
He did a front flip on one of them.
And they're the third most talented team as far as the amount of recruit or the type of recruits and the talent they bring in from the portal. So
yeah, I just think there could be a durability piece that you really are lucky to have two guys that you can run out there with. Maybe this Houston game, it's going to be similar to the TCU game, but I don't see that being a sustainable model against Texas in that type of environment. And I see it more of who's the hot hand in that Texas game, and that's who you're going to run with for most of that game. It was just kind of like being in the stadium and watching us really do whatever the hell we wanted. It's not a feeling that you get against a Big 12 team very often.
No, you don't.
And especially doing it against TCU with the recent history, and no matter what, there was hype to this game. I mean, that stadium was really electric during that game. And to be able to feed off of that and just go touchdown, field goal.
No, touchdown. Oh,
touchdown,
field goal. Yeah,
field
goal,
touchdown. Yeah. It was just kind of an incredible thing to watch. So I don't know, man. I mean, I did not expect, obviously, to see the success that we had. So it does make you think the 2-quarterback system works, but this is probably the perfect game.
Yeah.
And
This is what I got to say on the quarterback situation, because there's a lot of talk out there about it, and I think it's a little skewed towards Avery, and just popular opinion. People want Avery, especially coming off the game that Will Howard had at Oklahoma State. Then what kind of game we saw at the beginning from Will Howard in that Texas Tech game. People want it to be Avery. So when he comes out and he has the performance that he did versus TCU, he's not getting as much credit as I think he deserves. And then let's say, like you just said in that scenario, it's the hot hand. Will Howard, and let's say it's just field goal. He doesn't punch it in. Are we screaming for Avery? I mean, is that what we mean for hot hand? Because that doesn't seem very fair for the first guy to go out there. Because if it's Avery that goes out there first and he doesn't score any points, I mean, are we screaming for Will Howard? I don't think we are. A lot of people's opinions is that's not what's going to happen. I think a lot of people are giving more of the benefit of the doubt to Avery and not so much to Will, which I think is a little unfair. But we got two. We got two that are really, really solid, that are really, really good. And I don't think going back and forth, if they're trading drives like we did in the TCU game, that means we're fucking curb stomping people. And I want that. So give me 50-50 split every game until it doesn't work. That's what I think.
I mean, I completely agree with you. I think the leash on Will Howard is a lot shorter than it is on Avery Johnson, and that's a little unfair. I will say this though. The one reason outside of Avery being a true freshman, a Kansas kid, he's the more electric player. And that gets people excited because of when he breaks a tackle or he gets through a gap in the offensive line and moves. I mean,
so fast.
He's so fast. And so there's a little bit of that bias because he's the more electric player when you look at him. That doesn't necessarily mean he's the best player. It doesn't necessarily mean he's the right guy. I mean, Will Howard having the game that he had against TCU, in many ways, that's going to win you a majority of your games if he plays like that. The issues that he has shown is the ability to turn the ball over every game. TCU, the passing for Will Howard, other than a couple passes, but there were a couple passes, but they weren't in situations where it was going to get picked. It was a short screen pass that hit the turf. And,
the Phillip Brooks one, yeah.
He wasn't taking risks because I felt the play calling was getting 5-6 yards with the wide receivers or moving your running backs out there like the DJ Giddens play. I mean, we ran that play like 3 times in that game and got yards. I mean, TCU is not covering the running back.
Yeah.
At all.
It's the same thing that they said versus Tech. Tech showed that same look versus Avery Johnson. So let's just keep running Avery until they decide they want to stop it, and they never did. Versus TCU, I mean, this has been history. I mean, I'm a layman, and I can see that. Colorado has Dylan Edwards running into the flat every time versus TCU, and they never cover him. They did the same thing with DJ Giddens, and they just never cover him. So, I mean, it's just the coaches know what they're doing. I don't think we need to, what kind of splits are they going to get? They're with these guys all the time. They know what they need to do. And if their whole philosophy has been hot hand all season, when you see more Jace Brown because Jace Brown is cooking. That's less. I mean, Keegan might have got hurt towards the end of the game. He disappeared, but Jace Brown is the guy that's going in there, and DJ Giddens and Trayshawn Ward. It's the same thing. Hot hand. Whoever is cooking, they're going to give them the ball. And if we're going 50-50 split because neither one of them did anything wrong, that's what we got to do. I mean, I don't think to say this. To say that we have to have a defined starter by Texas is just crazy. Why? What makes it any less sustainable than having one quarterback out there, doing the same things over and over again instead of having going back and forth? I just don't understand it. I guess the two quarterback system just leaves a sour taste in people's mouths from. I mean, it has been ineffective in the past, but for me, they've shown no signs of a two quarterback system being a hindrance for this offense. So I would just keep riding with it.
Jake Rubley's actually going to be the starter against Texas. So
that would be so funny. They're just trolls. They're really trolling.
That first fucking play of the game,
what was the pop like? What was the pop
I
like?
died. Somebody, who did I talk to? It might have been Tyler, whoever I tailgate with. He was like, what if they roll Will and Avery out on the first drive and on the first play of the game? And I was like, there's no way. And I see like they're both in the huddle. They both run out. I'm like, this is such a great troll job. And I'm serious. Like they absolutely planned to do that.
No, they had to.
Absolutely. And on the broadcast, it was the same thing where you're seeing the green grass, like not the sideline. You're seeing the green grass behind Avery's head when they're zooming in on Avery. Then they pan to Will, and Will's got the green grass behind him. And I was with a bunch of Matt and I, our friends, at the bar in Denver because they were out here for a wedding. And we're all kind of looking at each other like, is Avery getting the start or is Will getting the start? And then they both trot out there and we're like, they're both getting the start.
I mean, if you listen to the broadcast, like they're like, setting up the game, whatever. It's right before kickoff. He says, we got some breaking news. And it's the sideline reporter saying, like literally not even 5 minutes before the game, that Avery and Will are both going to start. I'm like, this is ridiculous. So they're trolling, and I like it. I like the moxie because what did we talk about last week? Are we going to hear boo birds for Will Howard? Are we going to, if it's not Avery on that first drive or whatever, are we going to hear boo birds? And that totally eliminated it. That's why I asked you, what was the pop like? Because when you get both of them out there, that's got to it just gets all rid of the negative vibes. And it's just 100%. Funny.
It was just like a, oh shit moment. Like they're actually rolling this out. And I mean, look, Avery's so quick that, I mean, obviously you can run him in that type of situation in like the, this jet sweeps and he got 5 or 6 yards on the first play, but an excellent troll job by the coaching staff. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do it for this game again. And now, do I like seeing them both in the game at the same time? If you're rolling like jet sweeps and stuff like that, I understand leveraging the speed, but Jace Brown would be a guy that I wonder if we're going to run some more jet sweeps with him. He looks like a quick guy. He had one in the game in the second half. Because that has been a bread and butter play for us, especially with Malik and Phillip Brooks. And so finding a guy who has a little bit of speed to get around the edge is absolutely huge. So again,
the guy who looked really good on that jet sweep, Jaden Jackson. I mean, for a big, long strider, he looked great on those jet sweeps. And I think he took 2 of them. Maybe I'm misremembering. It might have just been a shallow cross for the one that got it was a legal formation, later in the game. And that might have been a pass from Avery. I'm not sure. But I know the jet sweep to Jaden Jackson looks good. It looks natural. It kind of reminds me of what Malik looked like, just that long strider. But anybody just opening the playbook to any of those possibilities, because the receivers are not getting as much separation, and from the stands, it probably looks even more obvious, but on the TV broadcast, you could just tell that the receivers aren't getting open because the quarterback has time, and he's just sitting back there like, I can't throw it. You're not open. And getting the ball into those playmakers' hands on a jet sweep is one way to do it instead of having to rely on them to run different route combinations.
The wide receiver you mentioned on the depth chart this week that came out, it was Jaden Jackson, Phillip Brooks, and Jace Brown listed as the 3 starters with Orrs, and then Keegan Johnson and Trey Spivey listed as second string, which it was interesting to see Trey on there. And we, Junior Spivey's listening to the podcast. Maybe I don't know. He followed the show, but love seeing that.
I mean, we're going to be on the 8th game of the season. Would any of you thought that Jaden Jackson would be right now the number 1 guy? You would not have expected that?
No.
I mean, I would have loved for that to happen, but I probably wouldn't have put bets on it.
I think he's by far, okay, man, now I can't like put my name on this. He's is he the breakout player of the year right now for this team?
Breakout?
Yeah.
No way. On offense and defense, or just offense?
I'm saying like overall.
I think
he's
could
a guy.
Make an argument for Avery Johnson being the breakout player of the year.
I think Avery would be a safe choice, right? And
I think breakout player of the year is Desmond Purnell for me. I mean, he is literally playing at an all Big 12 level. He creates the turnovers for our team mostly. I mean, with the punch outs and the interception, but he's probably the breakout. But Jaden Jackson is a very pleasant surprise. And you guys kind of called it at the beginning of the year. I had no faith in Jaden Jackson. I just thought he was, SEC fallback kind of guy, but he's a bigger body. He makes plays, and I think to be a wide receiver 1, I didn't see that coming because I had so much faith in Keegan Johnson.
Yeah,
and
he's
not a disappointment, but it is late in the season and he hasn't done anything. So I heard the word bust come up, and I don't like using that, but is he, because of the injuries and all that, he is probably the biggest disappointment, and Jaden Jackson hasn't stepped up because the numbers aren't really there, but he's way better than I thought he was going to be this season.
I mean, I just think he's shown to be a reliable catcher. He's found opportunities to get open. I think if we do use him in that jet sweep game, I think he can hit another level. I definitely wouldn't call Keegan Johnson a bust, because I think with the injury, and we don't really know a lot about what's going on with that. But if he has not been at 100%, I don't blame him, for not playing on earlier in the season. But look, and I know we're going to talk about Jace Brown here in a second, but you have some talent behind you that is ready to spread their wings a little bit. And Jace has shown that. I'm excited to see Trey Spivey get some opportunities. And then even like Garrett Oakley, I mean, he caught, he had a catch in this game. He should have had a touchdown. So I think I tweeted this during the game, but these young guys getting time out there is absolutely huge. And I think it shows from a recruiting perspective that we're finding some good hits in the 3-star area. Guys that can play as true freshmen. I mean, this is something we just haven't seen from a K-State perspective in a long time. And you have guys getting meaningful snaps out there in the middle of Big 12 play. It's phenomenal to get that type of time for them.
And defense. I mean, Austin Romaine, who
Absolutely
saw that one coming? I mean, they were talking it up in Big 12 media days about this kid showing up and potentially being a starter. And he's even behind, what's my guy? Damn, I forgot his name already. What am I doing?
He's your guy and you forgot his name.
Who was our starter? Daniel Green.
Daniel
Jesus
Green.
Christ. Oh my God. I just buried Daniel Green on. Oh my God. I feel like shit. But Austin Romaine, he's played well above what I thought he could, and that's a true freshman playing in there. And it would be more guys on the defense, but we got a kind of a deep team on defense that it's hard to crack through there. So actually, that might be my surprise. That might be my breakout player, Austin Romaine. He's performed, but maybe it's something we'll talk about later. Jake Clifton, is he the better option at middle linebacker?
I mean, Jake Clifton's looking pretty good when you look at the conference rankings right now too. As far as defensive players, he's working his way up that list. So I like seeing that. And Jace Brown. So we bring up Jace Brown. He had 88 yards in that game against TCU, 1 touchdown, and had a longest catch was 43 yards. I mean, he put up a great effort, and I think it was kind of funny that Will threw the touchdown pass to him that he caught, because a big story for that game, I thought, was the Rumi connection between Avery Johnson and Jace Brown. And we see, even at the NFL level, when they're doing training camp and stuff, that roommate connection is really important. It's even more important, when you've got a freshman running back or you've got Ben Sinnott rooming with Will Howard type of thing. Like, that chemistry and that bond that they have is incredibly important. What did you like out of Jace's game on Saturday, and how do you think that's going to translate for the rest of the season for him?
The effort. I mean, I truly believe that's step one. If you're putting in that type of effort to make this happen, you're doing everything right. The pass that Avery threw on that play and the second drive was a great pass. Excellent touch on it. But that is a tough catch for a wide receiver to make. And to be in bounds, just a great effort there. The 43-yard reception, that's a great pass by Avery, but Jace got some separation with that cornerback. I mean, showing that he has some of that speed to get open, and let your quarterback try and get you the ball. I thought he looked pretty good on that jet sweep when he took it. The route running on the touchdown.
That's elite. That's elite route running.
He's got great feet.
That guy was that's a senior cornerback that's guarding him. That's been a starter at TC for like 3 years, and he almost put him on the ground.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I mean, if that's your first kind of breakout game, there's no reason why you're not number one on the depth chart, because that performance just showed that the effort that you've put in since starting here is getting you somewhere. And so that's why I'm excited for the young wide receiver talent, because I think, I'm not saying like Phillip Brooks has been here for so long. He's done better recently of making catches, getting a little bit. But Trey Spivey, Andre Davis, I know he's probably not going to play this year. But it's obvious that from a recruiting perspective, they're bringing in guys that they think are going to gel with Avery moving forward, and make plays. And again, the wide receiver position, we've had some good wide receivers, but I mean, back when there was this time frame where you're like, what are we doing in the wide receiver room? And now you kind of have to feel at least okay about it, especially this past week.
I'm just excited because we've got Matt Middleton as the wide receivers coach now, and I'm hoping he's kind of the type of guy that's going to stay in that role for a while. I'm sick of this revolving door of, we don't even have a wide receivers coach anymore. Let's just stick that title on Courtney Messingham's role, in addition to being a very average offensive coordinator, in my opinion. I want to have Middleton be that guy, and if we keep recruiting at the level that we are at the wide receiver position, maybe flipping some guys, who knows? That's what I want to see. So I'm super stoked about the promise, and I'm glad you brought up like the youth of that room and what that might mean moving forward, Matt.
Let me say this real quick about Jace Brown. You brought up all those key attributes, but I think the main, and you said it at the very beginning, effort is the one thing that he's putting out there, and the effort in one category, blocking, he's putting pancake blocks on tape. I mean, he's doing an incredible job, and I don't want to, throw this name out there just willy-nilly, but Jace Brown, this kind of is a game that reminds me of a Tyler Lockett game, his true freshman season versus Miami. Catching that touchdown pass, laying it all on the line, going across the middle. That's what I'm seeing from Jace Brown. Will he have the career Tyler Lockett had? Probably not. But Jace Brown is putting on tape as a true freshman, kind of an unheralded recruit in terms of like what we brought in with this same class. He's putting on tape something that could go forward, and he might not be here for 4 years. So we might have to prepare ourselves if I think he might be here for the tenure that Avery's here. So prepare yourselves, because I think he is a valuable weapon that we're going to see probably from here on out.
I think one last question I have before I talk and we transition into this Houston game that's coming up this week. Chef, one of your recipes last week was let's open up the cookbook a little bit more. Let's see what kind of play calling we're going to get out of this game. And instead of doing maybe milk toast isn't the right word for it, but it kind of seemed like we were running the same shit every single one of those first few games. And this past week, I really felt like we opened up that playbook for the first time. So are you satisfied with what you saw out of the play calling? Yes or no? And then, tell me why you were or weren't satisfied with the play calling.
I was definitely satisfied. They let Avery do what we've been asking for. He ran the same things that Will Howard was running. So it makes it, that's why I don't get the whole conversation with why you have to have one. They're both running the same offense. They just bring different skill sets to the game, and allowing that playbook to open up where we know Avery is posed and poised, ready to do whatever he needs to do. The same as Will. They're both able to do it, and exploiting, having a game plan where it's different route combinations, obviously seeing what TCU doesn't do and exploiting it with the DJ Giddens pass and the running backs out in the flat. Can we have better execution from the receivers to get open? Probably. I mean, I don't know if you saw it, Matt, being in the stadium, but Keegan Johnson's running straight down the middle. He burnt his guy wide open. Will Howard doesn't hit him. He throws it to Phillip Brooks, an incomplete pass. That was his low point of the game because he had an excellent game, but if he hits Keegan Johnson on that game, I mean, who knows what we're talking about today? It could be totally different, because that would be the breakout game for Keegan Johnson. That's a 70-yard bomb right there. But it had to happen. Colin Klein did it. He did it. He opened it up, and people are talking about K-State now. They're talking about us. It's getting spicy out there on the internet. It's getting spicy. We're on the up and up.
I mean, it's crazy what 2 games can change the entire trajectory of where you think this team could be.
Remember, John Kurtz was just talking about where's the trajectory of the program.
Where's the trajectory of the program?
Where's it at now?
I with how things are kind of transpiring in Big 12 right now. Houston, I'm glad to have Houston for homecoming, because I think this is a game that, despite the weather, I think it's going to be we'll talk about the prediction, but with what's going on at Texas at quarterback, who knows in 2 weeks what that's going to look like. Baylor hasn't looked super great. KU is going to be a tough game. We know that. Iowa State's look pretty good, but I'm a lot more optimistic than in anything right now, because I do feel that we always knew that offensively, if we could hold on to the football and we can execute, we're going to win games. We're going to win games. And the defense has showed out. Joe Klanderman's done such a great job with this defense, putting guys in and making it stick, making it work. The game in Austin's a scary game in a lot of ways. That could be a really fun game. I mean, I am more optimistic about this team now than even at week 2 of going into Austin. It's crazy.
I don't want to count my chickens just yet.
I don't either. I'm not saying today K-State's going to go down to Austin and win, but that game has gotten a lot more interesting if you beat Houston and do it in a way that continues the success from the TCU game. Slamming Nancy's. If you do it in a way that looks similar to the TCU game, it changes the dynamic of what you think this program can really finish up this season with. So I don't know.
I mean, for me, it's all about winning and beating Houston, because all the things that could trip us up is right in front of us. It's this one game. Then we can really talk about the spicy shit, because then it'll be your biggest game of the year in UT. That will be the talking point. I mean, everybody's going to be talking about that game. But let's beat Houston. Let's handle business. Let's stay healthy, and knock on wood. Let's keep doing that. But you got me emotional a little bit, Matt. I mean, you're just talking about this team because we had one bad game at Oklahoma State. We can all agree on that. Missouri is a lot better than we gave them credit for, and they're a top 20 team. Giving no shade to them, we could have won that game, but we had one bad game in Stillwater, lost by 8. But every game outside of that, I mean, we're dropping 40 burgers on people. It's no issues. I mean, God knows what we're averaging at home. Probably like 45 points a game.
It's pretty good.
It's got to be close. It's got to be close.
We can add it up real quick.
When's the last time we didn't score 40 at home?
Last season.
Oh, you're right. Damn.
It's not this year.
We sexy at home, aren't we?
We're hot.
Which
We're
I
real
feel
hot.
I feel like is the opposite of last year, because I feel like
hot.
last year you dropped that game against Tulane. I mean, there were a couple times last year where you lost that game to Texas at home as well. I mean, these guys have not been, kind of dicey at home like they were last year at times, which is good. It's encouraging. My last question before we really, I mean, this is related to the Houston game, but how do you feel that success from the game against TCU? How do you feel like that translates into this specific matchup against the Houston Cougars? And for those of you who are listening to this, we have dropped already a podcast previewing that matchup with Ryan Monceau from GoCougs.com, but definitely check that out. But how does the success from last game translate into the matchup against Houston?
Matt, you could piggyback off of this if you want, if you agree, or you could tell me I'm a fucking idiot. But
likely,
I think UT, no, not UT, got there on my brain.
Yep, started off well. Here we go.
Horns down. I think TCU and Houston are very similar teams, and how they want to go about on offense. They're fast. They're spreading the ball around. I mean, I don't know what the leading receiver for Houston is, but I mean, it's got to be spread out pretty good. They don't run the ball particularly a lot. I mean, TCU had somewhat success running the ball, but I think they come on, big chunk plays when we're kind of dropping 8 and whatever. But I think we can go into this game knowing that everything is in front of us. We focus on that game at home, and it's just we're so good at home that I think the environment's going to be popping. A noon game. I mean, people are probably excited for an 11 o'clock kick out in Manhattan. What do you think? Do you think it's going to be a bad environment?
No.
It's a great environment because I'm going to be there.
Well, yeah. You're hot too, so
of course.
I mean, the weather, like.
Shit, my bad.
But it's going to be a classic early November game, and even though it's not early November, but you know what I mean.
Late October,
whatever. It's going to be a great environment. Homecoming typically is. We have played really well at home. I mean, we really have. The way that this team, you can't not look at the TCU game and think there was anything wrong with that game. That's a hard game to live up to also.
Yeah.
And I think there are going to be a lot of people that whoever starts the first drive, if we don't score a touchdown, it's like the end of the world. And it's not. I mean, the last week's game was just I feel like it was an anomaly, not because I don't expect that we can't score 41 points in a game, but winning a game by 38 points is a hard thing, a very hard thing to do. You
In
know, you win
conference for sure.
especially in conference play. So you could win a game 41-30 and feel like you dominated, like the Troy game,
The UCF game.
or the UCF game. I'm sorry, but that's just how good the defense was last week. And so there's a couple things of like the offense was so good, but the defense just was even at another level that it's going to be very hard to not, like, if we give up a lot of points or, you know, whatever.
I forgot to even, you know, put that into my calculus for this game coming up. The weather is going to be such dog shit. You know, it's going to be cold, rainy in the morning. I don't know if it's going to be raining in the morning, but if it is, having Houston, a team that likes to absolutely spread the ball around, we're going to run the fuck out of it. We're going to run the damn ball. And we asked the Houston guy, what about their running scheme? He's like, we don't fucking run the ball. What do we do? Why would we do that? And if it's rainy and 40, you better know how to run the ball. So I think this game could, you know, it's just everything's going our way, and it's kind of spooky. It's kind of,
you know what's kind of spooky?
Ooh,
K-State is ranked 14th in Bill Connolly's SP Plus right now.
golly, mister.
14th. We've got the 10th best offense in the country according to SP Plus and 32nd best defense. That's kind of a mind fuck to me a little bit, but that just goes to show how well this team is playing right now. I mean, that's nuts.
I mean, I'm trying to find. You can't find any negatives from that game. It's almost impossible. You literally have to knit a pick. You know, it's impossible.
Speaking of Fireball Matt, what was your burn it down moment of the week last week? Are you gonna pick some nits?
I mean,
knit some picks.
What was the worst part of that game? I don't know.
The field goal. I don't know.
The field goal. I mean, was it Avery? Was it Avery's sack when he ran the ball 15 yards behind the line to try and? That's just going to come with time, like, right? I mean, I felt that was an inexperienced play, but he knows better because he's proven that he knows better. But those are going to be some of the things that people won't necessarily talk about because of other positive things. But it was that, and then wasn't there like a false start or something? There was some penalty right after that, and it was second and
it was 3rd and 28. I know that
3rd and 28,
and he almost got it. By the way,
okay, it's that exact mindset right there. Yep. But so you can't, like, it's going to come with time and experience that, hey, yeah, I'm fast and I could probably get away from a defensive lineman, but these defensive linemen are a lot better than Capen's defense, or I can't remember what school Bob went to. Is it Capen? You went to Capen.
Yes.
Yeah. Capen's defense versus TCU, who guys are going to get you down like that. So we need to throw the football out of bounds. You need to take a sack.
That's something he's going to have to get used to, is the quarterback spy, you know, like similar to what we do, where they rush 3, kind of push everybody to one side, force him to, you know, kind of J-hook or go out the other side. And then there's a guy just waiting there ready for a late blitz. And it's something he's going to has to get used to, because rolling to your left, you're not going to be able to set up and then try to kind of get out of it. So it's just, like you said, it's a learning experience, and he's a true freshman. We're gonna see some things.
Exactly. Like, and so out of all the positives last week, you're very much nitpicking, and you're picking like one play, which was the worst play that we had in that game. And it was definitely that play. And he's going to learn over time, just with the ability to, like, what's the worst part? What's the worst thing you can do to not lose any yards? And it's not doing that. It's okay, I can't get out of this, so we need to throw it out of bounds and reset, and 2nd and 10 instead of 2nd and 23, and you're now just, your playbook's completely out the window.
I think that play, and that's the only negative on offense that I can think of. And the only negative on defense is Willie with a like kind of phantom pass interference call. So those are the only things that I could think of on defense and
I mean,
offense.
the drive where TCU scored the 3 points and we give up like a 50-yard run because the safeties played up and did not.
No, they played real
Or
far
the
back, and our
safeties played far
linebacker,
back.
our
Yeah.
safeties played real far back, and it's what's happening in every time. Our run defense is elite, but if we miss one fit, that shit is going
Dunzo.
a long way. It's
Dunzo.
a long way because the 3-3-5 for some reason is effective against run because those linebackers can run blitz and see where the running back is coming and hit that gap. But if they hit the wrong split or wrong gap, man, that shit is going a long way because the next closest person is 20 yards that way. So it's you kind of have to live with those because it happens every game. It's happened in every game that we've even like the great rush defenses that we've maybe not in SEMO, but Troy, that one run that got him close to 80 yards. Vital's run. Missouri, I don't know if they hit one, but they just, maybe Brady Cook did. That was more passing defense, but every other game, Ollie Gordon, the UCF running backs, they all hit kind of just one gap, and it's always one time a game. But I mean, you can't do anything with that TCU defense. I mean, that TCU game because the defense was stellar.
Yeah, I would say that was like the worst play that we had. I mean, I don't know.
Giving up 3 points is the second best defensive effort on the year, so you really cannot be upset about that. And the number one was against an FCS team. So Troy scored more points on K-State than TCU, the defending runners up of the entire NCAA football for FBS. But
Kendall Briles, 3 points,
What an absolute joke! Fuck Kendall Briles, fuck the Art Briles tree. Anyone who is associated with Baylor from a football standpoint or athletic department from 2008 to 2014.
Didn't Art Briles just get off for that? I mean, like he didn't do anything, right? He wasn't found.
Okay.
Don't even
Oh, sorry.
Actually,
shit.
I'll just one last thing. I rewatched the game today. Sonny Dykes, man. He's just kind of annoying.
What a baby bag bitch.
I love that. I love that Scott this week on Bosco's Boys called him a petulant child, and I haven't heard him use that terminology to describe anyone other than Matt Campbell.
He cries at everything.
Oh my God. He bitches about every single thing. No wonder how they won last year because he just I don't know.
I'll tell you how they won. He bitched at refs to get calls later in the game, and they had a quarterback bounty throughout the season. So,
and he inherited Max Duggan from Gary Patterson and decided that he was going to start Chandler Morris to start the season.
He wants Chandler Morris. Chandler Morris has some nude photos of him banging a sheep or something. Because there's no way they could keep playing Chandler Morris.
Slamming Nancy. Chandler Morris is going to transfer after this year, and he's going to go play at some school, and he's going to go 10-2.
Dude, he's going to transfer to Rice after
Texas
Jason
State
Daniels leaves.
He's going to Texas State, and he'll probably
Oklahoma State.
Ooh, don't do that to me.
Oh God,
no, don't do that.
Iowa State, some other Big 12 school, and he's going to light it up. Well, it can't be Iowa State because they won't win 10 games.
Got Rocco Becht. He's balling out for them by their standards.
Yeah,
they got JJ Cole.
That's a good point. Oh my God.
Chef, what's the recipe for success for this week?
For Houston, for me, I battled back and forth on what the recipe was. And I think you always hear that saying there's too many chefs in the kitchen. I don't think there's enough chefs in the kitchen. I think for this, we need a full staff.
Ruben's coming in. We're doing 3 quarterbacks. Adrian Lara.
Take it easy. But I'm talking about Avery Johnson and Will Howard. We can all run the line together. You can be my saucier, and I'll be the sous chef here, baby. Let's go. They don't have to figure it out. I think they can keep doing what they're doing. Let these guys, Colin Klein and Coach Kleiman, the head chef, figure out what his underlings are going to be doing. I think there's not too many chefs in this kitchen, and I think Houston, you don't know what's coming because we're going to be running a lot of shit down your throat. It's going to be ugly out there. I forgot all about the weather.
Yo, it's going to be like the Mizzou game, but you know what? I just look, AccuWeather, albeit AccuWeather.
Dude,
morning.
it's changing every 2 hours.
It's changing every 2. Look, this is Kansas weather. It's going to be like 99 degrees on Saturday with how things are going. You know what? If it's 50 degrees, but it's cloudy or whatever, like, I don't know. If it rains, that I believe that does benefit us in a lot of ways.
Agreed.
It does mean it's probably going to be a lower scoring game, but I think that plays well into our hand. And if we can get out with a win, we'll be golden.
Let's fire up the prediction machine. Chef, hit us with what you got first.
My dog is going crazy in the back. I apologize.
Unacceptable.
Someone needs to get this dog, please. Someone. 45-24. You know, I think I'm a little generous to Houston with what I think is going to happen. So I think 45-24 Cats, but they got some playmakers. I think we're gonna dog walk them. Another 21-point game,
or catwalk them, if you will, considering their master
on the catwalk. We're on the catwalk.
I'm gonna say 31-29 Cougs, strictly because of the reverse jinx that I hit really early this season. This could be a look ahead game for the Cats. You've got a big matchup against Texas and Austin next week. You never know.
This is a trap game.
This could be a trap game. Maybe that's the wintry mix that we're gonna see on Saturday. Weather-wise, who knows? Matt, take the mic away from me.
I sure as hell will. I'm going to go 28-10 Cats. I am playing this a little bit into if it is a little bit of a rainier game, we are probably going to be running the football, get them out, eating up some time. And truly, I think the number of possessions will not get us in a position where we're able to score 45 points. I'm thinking if it is raining, you know, if you can sustain a drive, 8-9 plays and score, I mean, that's going to eat up a good amount of time. So I'm going to say 28-10. I think that's a comfortable win, and that would technically be a cover. So you kind of have to take that, right?
It's a big number. 17. That's a spooky number.
17's a big number here. I mean, it truly is.
Big
like
number.
I saw 17, and I was like, I don't like that.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to touch that with the 10-foot pole. Speaking of bets, we've got our week 9 locks. Chef, you've got something to do there. But while you're getting your bag boy, each week we share our locks for 3 Big 12 matchups, 1 national game of the week, and 1 sicko game. Last week, I guess technically Joe won with a 3-1-1 record. I got second with a 3-2 record overall, and then Chef got a 2-3 record. So those of you who have been listening for a while, you know what that means. And if you're listening for the first time or watching for the first time, Chef has a bag on his face now, which is fantastic. And he's added some new artistic elements to the bag, which were not there the previous couple of weeks. Chef, how does it feel to be the bag boy once again, back in your rightful place?
Yeah, this is the bag boy here. I'm the bag boy. I'm straight cool OG on it.
Okay. All righty then. So the season standings, Matt inherited Joe's locks from last week.
Bullshit.
So Fireball Matt is still in first with a slim lead of 21 wins, 17 losses, and 2 pushes overall. I'm in second place.
He would never be that good of a picker. Joe is so much better than him.
The bag boy doesn't speak. I'm muting you. I am in second place with a 19-21 record overall. And then Chef Andre's locks are back in last place with an 18 win, 20 loss, and 2 push overall record. And so, in classic fashion, we are going to pivot over to Matt to give his lock since he won the previous week.
Yeah, I did win the previous week. I just want to say thanks to Joe Tillery for being spot on. I mean, pretty good with your picks. I would have picked exactly the same thing. I was listening to this show on Friday driving to Manhattan. I'm like, Joe picked these perfect. Like, I wouldn't change it for the world. All right. Let's start with the Big 12. I am going UCF 7-point favorites over West Virginia and Orlando. I like how John Rice Plumlee looked. I said this during the Oklahoma game that he would have been a really tough guy to play against in our first Big 12 game, and we're very lucky that we did not play against him. I think they'll get their stuff together and win by more than 7. Oklahoma State, 7.5-point favorites against Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati's ass, just like their chili. Sorry, chef. And then BYU, 17.5-point dog at Texas. Now, here's why I think BYU is going to cover here. Number one, historically, BYU plays really well in Austin, and I don't know why. There was that 2-year stretch where they beat Texas. BYU's kind of sneaky. They're 5-2. We don't know about the Texas situation at quarterback. Is Malik Murphy going to be the guy? We're going to see Eli Manning's son. Just kidding. Who knows? But I think BYU is going to cover the 17.5 against Texas. My national game, Utah, is hosting Oregon and is a 7-point dog. Utah, it pains me to say, because they do have a fan base that is quite a pain in the ass in the nicest way possible. But Utah is playing the deal, like they're playing the part of a team that could win the Pac-12. And Oregon is going on the road. Game day is going to be in Utah. If Oregon wins, they're going to win by like 1 to 3 points. I just think a 7-point touchdown favorite for Oregon is a lot there. And then my sicko game of the week. This is sick to me. Sick, I tell you. Eastern Michigan is like 4-3 this season and is hosting Western Michigan, who is 2-5. And Eastern Michigan is a 2.5-point underdog. Are you crazy?
That is the exact same logic that Chef had with the Middle Tennessee one a couple of weeks ago, and it worked out for him.
It worked out. I mean,
it worked out.
I need to put like my first down payment of this house on that. I don't understand it. I mean, I'm not going to because I can't afford anything anymore, but are you serious?
The Utah pick is interesting. I was going to go with Utah +7 if I was not going to go with Duke in Louisville, which we'll get to in a minute. But that one, I was a little surprised to see it as wide of a margin as it was, mostly just because this corn-fed pig farmer, whatever, playing quarterback for Utah right now, beat the shit out of Caleb Williams.
You kind of never really want to bet against Utah. You know, they're just like, I don't know what they are against the spread, but they fuck people if you try to bet against them.
And they had that backdoor cover against Baylor too early in the season, and I was like, well, okay, because I think I might have taken Baylor to cover that week.
Like their schedule, it is kind of crazy how skewed the Pac-12 North is this season. But
are they doing divisions?
They're not doing divisions, but what used to be the Pac-12 North.
They're not doing divisions?
Oh, it's number 1 versus number 2. It has been the last 2 or 3 years.
So all of these teams, like Oregon State, Washington, Utah, like they're all playing each other this season. Utah,
it's kind of a murderer's row. I mean,
USC, Oregon, they host Arizona State, but then they play Washington at Washington, and then Arizona, who's like pretty good this season.
Yeah.
And Colorado. I thought that the entire time I was like,
or did they play Arizona State? Did they play Arizona State?
No, they play them the week after the Oregon game.
Because Arizona State, you can make the argument they're probably the best one-win team in the country.
Okay.
Well,
That's
let's not go there, Bob.
They are probably the best one-win team in the country. Let's just be honest.
I'm going to just pull up a list of one-win teams, and there's probably only a few.
True. So for my locks for this week, I'm taking the Kansas Jayhawks plus 10 versus Oklahoma in Lawrence. Come on, give me a break. Oklahoma played around with their food the entire game against UCF. The entire game against UCF. KU is a much more proficient team than UCF is, and they proved it on the field against UCF. So if KU can look at that game film against UCF and figure out where they have those advantages, and figure out what UCF was figuring out against Oklahoma, I think that, and look, KU's played a lot of close games against Oklahoma in recent memory as well. So I feel like maybe KU's going to get one over on OU finally. I'm taking BYU, similar to Matt, plus 17.5 at Texas. That's just way too many fucking points for me. In a game where, again, BYU has done well in Austin in the past. Granted, that's probably ancient history at this point, but we don't know what the Texas quarterback situation looks like. If it will end up being, maybe Arch Manning does see his first live game action in Big 12 conference play against BYU. So I don't know. I don't think BYU is very good, but I think that's just a lot of points. And if Houston can make that game competitive, BYU can make that game competitive.
5-2.
More than certainly. Yeah, but I mean, 5-2. Yeah, sure. They beat Cincinnati. Who else have they beaten?
They beat a one-win Arkansas team. Oh, whoopee.
2 wins, I think.
Oh, I apologize.
Wait,
Wait,
they only have 1 win?
I think they only have 1
I thought
win.
Arkansas had 2 wins.
Maybe I'm wrong. I was going to say that they're the best one-loss team in the fucking country.
I don't know. KJ Jefferson. Okay. Yeah, sure. Oklahoma State, I have minus 7.5 versus Cincinnati because Cincinnati is ass. And I haven't looked this up, but I would love to see what Cincinnati is against the spread this season. I don't think it's very good. They might be 0 against the spread this whole season.
I think they covered against OU because that was a pretty tight game.
No, they didn't because it was 13.5 and they lost by 14.
Oh, Lord God.
Because it was what, 20-6, I think was the final, maybe. My national game is Duke plus 4.5 at Louisville. Duke should have covered last week. It was a backdoor cover for Florida State. Duke is a good team. I'm not sold on Louisville. I'm going with Duke. And my sicko game, I've got Wyoming plus 4.5 at Boise State. This was another one where I was like, Wyoming has only 2 losses on the season, and Boise State's only 1. I think they're 3-4 overall. I mean, give me Wyoming. I don't care about the Smurf turf. The Smurf turf does not give you a real advantage.
That's a pretty hot take. I mean, that is like one of the cathedrals of college football.
Sue me for it.
I'm gonna go ahead and get on my picks then, baby. You know, I agree. No, actually, I don't agree. KU, I got the line at minus 9.5. I hope you don't mind that. I'm gonna go OU minus 9.5. I think they were looking ahead to this game. You know, honestly, they said fuck UCF. We're gonna look ahead to what we got to deal with KU. I think this is their Super Bowl. You know, they're not really playing for anything. So KU, you guys are on watch, baby. OU is going to be firing on all cylinders for this. They don't have a running game, but they won't need one because Dylan Gabriel. Then who's my other pick? Jesus, my phone just unlocked. I agree with you, Bob. I mean, Oklahoma State minus the point, Cincinnati, real dog shit. Did we all take that game? God damn it, we did. We're cursed. That shit's not going to hit. We're fucked. So yeah, I'm agree with you guys. Hedge my bets. If we all win, we all win. Let's go.
Hey, it means you're gonna go 1-4 this week. So
at least. Iowa State at Baylor. Holy cannoli. Iowa State, if they get this win like I think they're going to, 5-1 in the conference, that's spooky, right? 5-1 or 4-1 in the conference?
They'll be 5-1, I think.
Oh my God. That's a
That
winning
is,
record. A winning record in conference. Who would have saw that at the beginning of the year? Those Charlie Brown motherfuckers -1.5. Let's go, Iowa State. I want you for the pick, but if you lose, that would be hilarious too.
They'll be 4-1. They'll be 4-1 if they get that win.
Yeah, 4-1. Okay, that's not as bad. Okay, I mean it makes me feel a little bit better that they could have a losing record still. National game. You got the world's largest cocktail party. Classic. I mean, split down the middle, red versus blue. I got Florida. You know, when Bowers went down, Georgia, I don't know if they're going to look the same, dude. I don't know if they're going to look the same. Florida is kind of respectable this year. Billy Napier, my cousin, shout out to Billy Napier. 14.5 points. That's a big number to ask from, a team that hasn't done anything. 2 national championships back to back. That's not that impressive. I've seen better things on NCAA football 14. So yeah, let's go Florida. Let's chomp it up, baby. Chomp, chomp. And then my sicko game, San Jose, -10 points going to Hawaii at 11:59 p.m. so they can get the game in on this day. I mean, what a classic. Jesus. I mean, you would think that San Jose would kind of get caught looking. They're on vacation in Hawaii, but I don't think so. I think they're going to cover the 10 points, and I hope this isn't a push for me. So let's go. Beat them by 11.
Wait, they're playing this game at 11:59 Hawaii time?
9 my time. So they kind of get it in before midnight.
What?
Wait, that
9
does not make
9
any
your time?
It's 11:59 my time. So it's, what is it?
Oh, I thought you said
5
9
hours.
your time.
Yeah, you said 9 your time. I'm
No,
like,
no,
9
11
your time would be like 2
It's like,
p.m.
That's not how time zones work.
No, that's not. 11:59 my time. So what is that? They're 5. Are they 5 hours difference? No.
I think it's more than that. It's
Yeah,
like 6 or 7.
I think it's 5. California's 3, and it's 2 hours from there. I think it's 5.
Oh, okay.
I think Japan is like a 7-hour difference.
No. No.
It's like a 12-hour difference.
Japan's on the other part of the date line, man.
I don't
Hawaii,
think so.
it is currently 4:41 p.m. in Hawaii right now. It's
So-
4 hours behind me.
5 hours behind me. So
So
how
it's
many hours?
6 hours.
behind you.
It's 6. 6 hours
And-
behind me.
Japan
So
is
Japan is just an hour west of Hawaii.
Fuck both of you guys. I've been to
Yo.
Japan. Let's go.
cultured.
Congrats.
Cultured.
Love that for you. Boys, any final words before we kick it out for the week?
I'm just pumped, man. We have to beat Houston. If we beat Houston, the podcast, we're gonna be talking some weird scenarios. We're gonna be, and hold on. Can we do weird scenario thing real quick? Can we do weird scenario?
Can you put the
Sure.
tinfoil hat on for us, please? Where's that in the props?
I don't have one, but let's say for instance, KU wins. Let's say BYU somehow pulls a dub. What's the world come to? I mean, I know they write off the Big 12 at that point, like, college football playoff people, they're not going to talk about us. But what does the conference chaos turn into if those two things happen? And like, obviously K-State takes care of business, because we would be tied for first with, and we'd assume Oklahoma State wins. I mean, hypothetically, in a perfect scenario, K-State could be tied for solo first with Oklahoma if Oklahoma State loses if Iowa State loses, if KU wins, and BYU wins.
So you're basically saying the best case scenario that could ever be scenarioed. I mean, you're also writing off Oklahoma if they lose one game.
No, I'm not. No, we're still tied for them. We're still tied.
Yeah. I don't know. OU has played really, really well despite the UCF game.
Mm-hmm.
And they look
but
like
did they really versus Cincinnati? Did they play well?
No, I know. There's something about KU this weekend that I just don't think OU is a good matchup for KU. I just don't. I think KU's a good team. There's just something about Oklahoma that the way like they can move the ball down the field and KU's defense has not been stellar. It just makes me.
Yeah, I mean, just
play the game with you.
Just play the game with me. If that does happen, where does the pivot games, like, you know, where we're kind of overlooking, like we have to go to Baylor? No, Baylor has to come here. I mean, that's right before KU. I mean, that's a trap game of all trap games. Yeah. I mean, it's just those kind of things pop into my head. Like, could we see the dream scenario? Is that a dream scenario, though? Is it?
Like winning the rest of our games? And
no. Well,
yeah, actually, as a matter of fact, it is.
Not that. I'm talking about this week.
That's the best case scenario for us if we conduct our business correctly. That's the best case scenario for us. You need OU. Like the rest of OU's games, they go on the road to BYU, I think, and they go on the road to Oklahoma State for Bedlam.
Crazy. That's next week.
Yep. Yeah, Bedlam is next week.
That is next week.
That's next week.
Yeah, it's the same week as us versus UT.
Texas.
Stupid.
So I don't know. I don't think OU is going to go 12-0.
I do honestly think that they're going to go on what I had made the my prediction for Bosco's boys. I said that we were going to be 10-2. I said we were going to be 10-2, and OU is going to be 12-0, and they're going to be in the playoff picture, and we're going to pull a 2003.
I would love that. Sign me up.
Okay,
sign me up.
So, I don't think OU is going to go 12-0. I think they're going to drop a game.
I said it's going to be the 20th year anniversary of the 2003 Big 12 championship game, and we're going to dash their hopes for the national champ, even though they went to the national championship that season. But for us, I don't think we live in a simulation, but I kind of do, to the point where history just repeats itself so much, and that is just kind of destined in my mind. That's what's going to happen.
And Chris Tennant is going to kick a 53-yard field goal to win the game.
No,
out of all the heroes.
But okay, I was going to say this earlier. I'm not going to. This is going to be the last thing I say. I rewatched the TCU game. He made all his field goals. 2 field goals, right? 3 field goals. 2. He made 2 field goals. He's 8 of 10 on the year. That's 80%. They showed the TCU kicker. That motherfucker's 10 of 16. I said if Chris Tennant was 10 of 16, we would have killed him already.
Dude, when we were watching the Texas game on Saturday, they showed Bert Auburn's stats, and that dude, like, he's missed like 4 or 5.
I can't handle a person whose name is Bert.
who has the hair that he has.
Who has the, like, I could be jealous, I guess, about people's hair, but I see that motherfucker and I just can't believe his name is Bert.
Bert. He's missed 5 field goals. He's 13 for 18. He's made every extra point, but
okay. Let's. This is literally the last thing I'm gonna say. if Chris Tennant is, let's say he keeps the trajectory going that where he's at, he doesn't miss too many field goals, knock on wood. And
No,
he's at like
I'm not
80.
doing this right now. I'm
I
not
said-
taking this jinx bullshit.
I knocked on wood. Could he be first team all Big 12 kicker?
No, we're not
Why
talking
not?
about this right now.
Why
we're not
not?
talking about this right now.
Have you heard of a guy named Colton Boomer?
He missed one in our game. Fuck him.
I'm pretty sure he's like 13 of 14 this season. He
missed one for sure in our game, and I know he's missed one in another game because he was short. He was short on one in the game before ours. He's missed at least 2 field goals. Chris Tennant, if he fucking keeps going, he might fuck around and be first team all kicker.
I don't have the time and energy to go into kicker rankings with you ever.
I hope this is a short.
Well, he is better than Burt Auburn. We know that much at least.
I'm gonna deep dive into kickers as soon as we get off here.
You do that. That would be a phenomenal segment. I would love to hear
Please
your
put the
deep
time
dive
and effort
on
that I will not be putting in.
Yeah, because I'm not touching that with
Oh
a
my
10
God.
foot pole.
I can't wait because we dogged Chris Tennant for so many years, and he could fuck around and be first team all Big 12 kicker, baby.
It's going to be a fun last 5-6 games of the season. Five games of the season. I mean, if you would have asked me after that Mizzou game if we would be where we're at after losing to Oklahoma State, I would have been probably a little bit shocked, to be honest, because at that point in time, Oklahoma State was dog shit, and they were playing the 3 quarterbacks.
Like I said, nobody knows anything about this conference. Nobody can pick these games correctly.
No.
Watch these power rankings on K-State Online.
Especially
I love those. Yeah, me either. But I love those guys at K-State Online. But watch the power rankings of Oklahoma State being like 4th. They had them 14 like 2 weeks ago. Come on now.
Yeah. And Oklahoma State's currently in a big, not 3-way, 4-way, 5-way tie for first place right now in the conference. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way tie for second place in the conference. I think
Matt's been in a couple 5 ways in his life.
Slamming Nancy's, as we know.
Slamming Nancy's. And with that, I think
Wait. Yo, one more thing. I got No. Number one, if anybody is going to be in Manhattan this weekend, you'll be able to see this Fireball costume on the east side. If you see somebody in a Fireball costume, come say hi. But then the last thing, just really quick. So this is the last show that I will be doing in Kansas City. I will be moving next week, and I will not be on next week's show, so you won't see me. It's been a very busy few weeks for me, but I just want to say I'm going to miss Kansas City. I'm going to miss everybody who does listen to the show. This show has been incredible, especially with you two guys and being able to build followers everywhere, but especially in this city. So I just want to say thank you for everybody, that I've met here in Kansas City since 2015, 2016 when I moved here. I'm excited to be moving to Texas. I know that's sad to hear from some people, but just wanted to say that here at the end, and I will be able to see both of your beautiful faces back on this show a couple weeks from now, and then Bob this weekend on Saturday. So,
oh yeah, you almost made it sound like you were leaving the show for a hot.
He
second.
did sound like he was quitting.
Yeah, I was quitting. There are days whenever I hear Chef, oh, let's just talk about this scenario that will never happen, or what's your ranking of Big 12 kickers?
If it happens, I want an apology.
Okay.
On your knees.
I will say though, when Chef had his idea about the preseason basketball tournament, and now apparently we might be doing like a preseason tip-off for Big 12 play. I mean,
your boy knows, man.
Maybe Warmark is listening to the show. Who knows?
He's listening.
It's like maybe we could do that on a smaller scale and have the tournament somewhere and make it fun. Who knows? But
God damn, your boy is a genius, and
Don't let it get to your head, though.
That's how big my head is.
And for all of us here at Cocaine Willie, thank you for listening to the show on your podcast feeds or watching us on YouTube. Do us a favor. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify podcasts, leave a 5-star rating and follow the show. And if you're watching on YouTube, give us a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, even if you're not a K-State fan. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram or follow us individually. I am at Bob Trollsby. Chef is at Chef Andre Napier, and Fireball Matt is at Matt Marchesini, who is not going to be in Kansas City anymore.
Sad times.
Chef,
cocaine's a hell of a drug, baby.
We are all coke and no joke. Wildcat Country.
Let's
ride.
Let's ride.